Private Clover, can I start by highlighting my full support for this petition, and like our chair, also pay tribute to the tireless work that our late colleague, Heaven David, undertook fighting to address this issue for his constituents. There are no surprises when I say that he gave invaluable evidence and much support to our committee. Although I do recognise that this is a complicated and indeed expensive area, as a legislative body we should be actively trying to resolve issues such as these for the benefit of the people of Wales. As a former county borough councillor, I've witnessed the issues that these estates create at first hand. And the problem, as I see it, comes from the fact that the maintenance of these new estates is seen by local authorities as onerous, and one that they would rather not take on if they could help. They would ultimately prefer to take the council tax money from the homeowners and do as little of the maintenance work as possible. As long as I can remember, local authorities have peddled the narrative that they're under-resourced, and so taking on commitments to adopt the maintenance of new estates will always be seen as the last resort. This is why councils place huge financial commitments on developers before they are willing to adopt these estates. We can read in the petition report how house builders who have built and paid for the public open spaces have been required to cover the costs of maintaining them for over 30 years and cover the costs of complete replacement of all play equipment halfway through that 30-year period. Some might see this as fair, but I don't. It is also why, again, stated in the report, local authorities are issuing more supplementary planning guidance relating to open spaces, stating that the council will not adopt it because it is for the developer in providing it to put forward a way in which it will be managed. So developers are put into a catch-22 position, whereby in order to continue their businesses, they either have to commit to long-term and substantial financial commitments, which they have to find a way to pay for, or either increasing house sale prices, reducing costs by using cheaper material, or by finding cheaper labour, which, let's be honest, they're most likely unable to do so. Ultimately, their only option is to bring in a management company to do the work. I believe that as part of the planning process, local authorities should from the very beginning be working with developers with a view of adopting the maintenance commitment of these new estates. Councils, of course, should be able to collect sufficient tax to cover the cost, and council tax banding of the property should be set to reflect the costs associated with maintenance. I also believe that councils and developers should have a transparent cost breakdown that residents are fully aware of before purchasing the property. Likewise, if management fees still remain, they should be reflected in local council tax premiums. The report sets out a few recommendations, I fully support all of them. There needs to be regulatory frameworks in place, and there needs to be sufficient financial resources allocated to support this. Moreover, there needs to be consistency across the whole of Wales. One of the major problems of having so many local authorities is that developers and indeed residents have to deal with different standards and practices, and this adds another layer of complexity and potential confusion for many developers. Finally, Private Clover, I want to say a few words about maintenance companies. Without these companies, many developers would not be maintained. However, it seems that these companies have the right to charge almost any amount for the work that they do, and there's no obligation to provide a competitive rate for the work after they've been awarded the contracts. So that after just a few years, homeowners could well be paying way over the odds for the work that they are getting done. And because these contracts are signed for lengthy periods, they have little recourse to challenge the costs. Moreover, these maintenance companies also in many instances include additional charges for a reserve pot of money in case of major costs later down the line. Not only is it very difficult to challenge how much is collected, but they also receive interest money from these pots of money, which they don't necessarily reinvest back into maintenance, but take as profit. I believe it is high time that we have some stricter regulatory framework regarding how much maintenance companies can charge and how they review costs on a yearly basis. Thank you.